us to terminate this?
Well,
Going forward with this eminent domain or dune restoration project? I'm confused.
So there was a public works project awarded by FEMA after Hurricane Ike to reconstruct the dune and perform a beach nourishment
Okay, so it was a dual.
project. They allowed the city to continue with the beach nourishment and not have to go forward with the dune restoration.
And to answer your question about the dunes, we didn't do anything since Ike on the dunes, and they actually started building themselves back up. This is gonna happen. It's happened, I can't even countless times in the 37 years I've lived here. Ike was totally devastating, it took it all.
So did Alicia.
So did Alicia. But,
Laura did a pretty
the
good
question that's
job.
being asked in this agenda item is, do y'all want him to keep pursuing eminent domain? And he could possibly get it, and as soon as he gets all 9 of them that are outstanding, then they will add the dune back into the renourishment. So that's the question before you, do you want him to keep pursuing?
They would consider
Right.
adding it.
So that's what we're gonna need to vote on, is do you wanna keep Sean continuing to get eminent domain?
I have a question.
Yes.
So the whole reason that I thought we were doing that project to begin with was that if we lost our dune, then a GLO would replenish the dune after a storm.
So
Am I correct?
the agreement was, they built it, it was beautiful.
Right.
They built it in '06, I believe, and it washed away in '08, and the agreement was they would rebuild it. Well, here it is 12 years later, and they haven't rebuilt it.
So you're not worried about that component of it because they'd never followed through the first time?
I'm frustrated beyond frustrated.
I get it.
But the question is, do you want him to keep pursuing eminent domain?
Are you making any progress with anyone?
We've made,
We're at 12.
a lot of times it's one step forward, 2 steps back. You don't have a change of ownership and so forth. But we continue, each time we do go through the easement process, we do file those with the county clerk, so they're there. So we're not losing the effort that we've gained, but it is time consuming going through that process. I just want to know how to address residents when they contact the city. What is the council going to do with the?
So you also want to talk to Sean about this, you can get some more detail about it, and then we're gonna vote on it in a couple of weeks. All right.
We're gonna table it for the moment?
No, it's still on the agenda. We're not voting on it until 2 weeks.
Oh,
Number 6, discuss general overview of ordinance 2020-5, which recently amended ordinance 2020-3, establishing usage and parking regulations for the city-owned Jamaica Beach Regatta Basin facility, also known as the Marina, to include parking restrictions on Basin Drive. Anybody got any
Yeah,
comments?
this one's on me. I made comments during the last meeting saying I wanted to readdress this item. However, it was a miscommunication between the city administrator and I as far as timing with everything going on. I'd like to table this and let's address this end of the year, beginning of next. Just not prepared to move further with it at this time.
We can do that in 2 weeks, we'll table it at that meeting when we vote on it.
Just wanted to preface it. It's my fault for it being on the agenda. It was miscommunication.
But in the future, we are gonna clean up the old ordinance and make sure the book slips and all that
I'd
comes.
like to see it done no later than February.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on. Number 7, discuss approving an ordinance of the city of Jamaica Beach, Texas, adopting the amended flood hazard regulations entitled Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance in the city of Jamaica Beach, Texas, and providing for an effective date. Sean?
Okay, so this is actually adding a component to a very large and comprehensive ordinance dealing with flood prevention and protection, but it's actually adding a no-wake component to that. Right now, you can shake your finger at somebody that drives through high wall, but without an actual ordinance to be able to cite somebody that isn't currently there. So that's what this is actually going to be doing.
Any questions, any comment? Go
Go
ahead, Russ.
I'm sorry. In this nice book you gave us,
Yeah.
where are those new changes located?
The-
Just so I can go back and
Yep, so the
research.
changes are under Article 5, Section F, and they're italicized.
I see it right there. Thank you.
And it's mentioned in the introduction.
Yeah, I know, I just saw that. One day.
And how would this, police officers would make that judgment?
So, yes, I mean, you're not gonna be able, it's not gonna be something that you can measure like a decibel meter.
Right.
Obviously, if you're causing a wake when it's not necessarily needed, again, if you have a larger vehicle and you're pushing water, that's going to happen. So if there's going to be some subjectivity, obviously, when the officer is doing that, and then, so you have the ordinance, but there's also signage that would have to be installed.
We just give it some teeth.
In various areas of the city, making.
Right now, we get about a ticket for it, right?
And photographs allow them to write tickets if
Or
it's very
videos.
obvious in a photograph.
You would have to check with the police department. I would assume you have to attest to the fact that you're witnessing that, but that's something that the police chief would have to respond to.
Chief,
Jim, and you wanna come up and,
This is long overdue.
yeah.
We got lots of photographs. You got photographs, Bob?
As far as, the complaint, or if you turn in a picture or video or something, again, because it's a Class C misdemeanor, it didn't occur in officer's presence, that can be used as evidence if, we have an affiant to the effect of, that they witnessed this, so it could be done that way.
Because there are a few people, as Bob will also attest to, that do it on purpose. You know,
And currently, there is an ordinance, there's a law that we can write right now without that ordinance in high water, and it's failed to control speed. It's not, really has nothing to do with the weight, it's the manner in which you're driving under the conditions which are there. So, there is a state law that we can write right now without the ordinance. The ordinance is a good thing, though. So,
thank you. Ironically, the funny thing about that is the young man that sped up when he's asked to slow down, will probably in about 6 months realize that his truck no longer will start, and the wiring's falling out of it. Number 8, discuss for action assigning hazardous duty pay from October 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, and the amount of $7.08 per hour to all full-time Jamaica Beach Police Department staff members coming in close contact with the public to enforce public health and public safety orders and seek reimbursement of said hazard pay through the CARES Act. And I've got clarification on that. If you actually patrol, make sure I say this right, if you actually patrol in a car, you get paid for the hours that you patrol. If you work behind a desk, this doesn't cover you.
Correct. You have to actually be out patrolling or actively investigating. It's not for those times in which you're sitting inside the building, not physically interacting with users.
Any questions, anybody? Any comment?
We should implement it this month now.
Yes.
Comment. With direction on some instances. At the August 17th City Council meeting, Chief Hyman stated, "A sacrifice of the department heads by not being considered a salary increase or an salary increase is more than adequate, and if council decides to change the decision for all employees to receive an increase, then he would ask to not be considered, because he thinks that we should all give back to the city that has given to us for a long time, and he thinks even the consideration is well above and beyond what the employees are expected this year. Yet on August 11th, Chief Hyman sent a letter to council requesting a consideration that all police officers be granted hazard duty pay from March to December 2020. The hazard pay being proposed is an additional $7.08 per hour per officer, which would equal over $1,200 per month per officer. That breaks down to $12,272.50 per officer for the 10 months that he proposed. There are six full-time officers, so that would be $73,635 additional pay, which is more than the amount allocated to the city from the CARES Act. The city administrator proposed the hazard duty pay from October through December, which would be $3,681.75 per officer for 3 months, October through December, for a total of $22,090 for all 6 officers. obviously, prior to me leaving, I provided the information to Sean that provide clarification that you actually have to be patrolling, versus what was presented by the police chief, this information that was provided by the police chief, that all full-time employees should get that. That, of course, would be significantly higher than the 2% increase he would have gotten as a merit or COLA increase, or the 3% given to the hourly officers, which would explain his willingness to so easily forego an annual increase when it is being discussed at the August 3rd and 17th council meetings. I'm bringing this up because if the city does not receive reimbursement for the hazard pay for those funds or expenses, it will be paid out of the fiscal year budget, the taxpayers. Although, I guess one could say the city will conveniently now have extra funds in the budget since they've terminated me.
Number 9, discuss approving a 10% increase in the 2020-2021 wage rate for Nola Gonzalez and Georgia Carmack for the duration of the city secretary vacancy. Sean?
So, during the vacancy, both of the administrative staff members are taking on a few additional duties, in order to make sure that the city is performing the tasks that it should be doing. So during the vacancy period, I am recommending a 10% increase for those staff members.
Is that enough?
Only through that time?
For that vacancy, correct.
Yes, that's,
Do their hours increase then?
no.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
But the complexity of the functions that they're doing.
Right. Okay.
No more questions. Number 10, discuss seeking bookkeeping services for the city of Jamaica Beach, designating the city administrator as the contracting officer. Sean?
So we're looking at, on an interim basis, bringing in a bookkeeper to set up QuickBooks, get us ready for end of the year and preparing for audit services, and also providing some intermediate training on QuickBooks for the office staff.
And this is temporary, just like the raises, just in the interim. Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to number 11, discuss for action approving a severance package for Ms. Lucy Rushing. And the attorney has brought us back. What me and Sean had discussed, and I believe, I think it's a fair package. It says on the first regular payroll date after the effective date of this agreement, the city will pay Ms. Rushing a severance pay of a gross amount of $13,776.23, which represents an amount equal to 8 weeks of your regular pay. The city will deduct applicable federal, state, and local withholdings along with other required or legal deductions from this gross amount. Also, on the first regular payroll date after the effective date of this agreement, the city will pay an additional gross amount of $8,882.28, which represents 222 hours of unused vacation time, which the city disputes is owing. We don't dispute we're owing, we admit we're owing. Is that misprinted?
That's what the attorney will do.
Minus all applicable federal, state, and local withholdings, along with any required legal deductions from this gross amount. A Form W-2 will be issued to you for all payments made in this section. The city will continue your health insurance coverage under the same terms during your employment through November 30th, 2020. Your participation in the city's health insurance benefit program will cease unless continuation of insurance coverage is required by law and elected by you. Effective as of November 30th, 2020, your participation in other benefit program cease effective with determination on September 28th, 2020. If you accept this and sign the agreement, it would be a full and general release of all liabilities against the city. The rest of it's just legal, this form and that form. Return of property, and y'all can read the rest. That's pretty much the highlights. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
I don't think we can vote on it if we're not, if it's not reading properly, because that doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
That part that you questioned it.
I don't think it's a typo, that's lawyer jargon.
That's what the lawyer intended to have written in.
So it's trying to say that the city doesn't agree that we owe it?
No, it's saying that it is paying. It doesn't have to, but it is willing to.
I believe that's what I was fixing to say, that it means that we don't have to do it, but we're willing to do it. Correct.
No, in the first
It's
one.
not unclear.
Anybody have any other questions?
Is there an explanation of the reason for termination?
We don't have to give a reason for termination.
I wanted to know if there was anything in there.
I don't believe so. It's not written in here. And we will be voting on this, so if you have any other questions. If not, we'll move on to items for consideration. Consider for action approving the city's use reserve park funds to host the holiday events at the city park in the amount not to exceed $5,000. Do we have a motion?
Make the motion that we approve the city to use the reserve park funds as stated.
Is that a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
Who's second?
Clay? Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, consider for action assigning hazard due paid from October 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, in the amount of $7.08 per hour to all full-time Jamaica Beach Police Department staff members coming into close contact with the public to enforce public health or public safety orders and seek reimbursement of said hazard pay through the CARES Act. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion as stated.
Have a second?
Prefer a second.
Any discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, consider for action approving a 10% increase in the 2020-2021 wage rate for Nola Gonzalez and Georgia Carmack for the duration of the city secretary vacancy. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion as stated.
Second?
I'll second.
Alderman Morris. Any discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, consider for action seeking bookkeeping services for the city of Jamaica Beach, designating the city administrator as the contracting officer. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion as stated.
Have a second?
Prefer a second.
Any discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, consider for action approving the severance package for Ms. Lupe Rushing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion as stated.
Need to have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. City Administrator report.
Tony Engineer will be completing the final engineering plans during the month of October for the road improvement project. The project would be bid or let out during the months of November going into December, with construction beginning early next spring. We'll send out construction alert letters to affected property owners, providing project details and the opportunity to have a pre-construction meeting to answer any questions. So that is, that timeline is being followed by the county. City will be posting a position for a permanent part-time laborer. This position will entail mowing city parks, drainage ditches, hanging street signs, filling potholes, etc. So we'll be posting that by the end of the week. Anyone interested in renting the pavilion will have to fill out a large outdoor gathering request that must be approved by the mayor. That is per Governor Abbott's executive orders related to the COVID-19. And that's all I have at this point.
Mayor's report. Well, there's another one in the Gulf. I'm not sure about the tide heights, depends on how close it gets to shore around us. They're promising us a little.
1.5 to 2 feet.
So everybody pick your stuff up off the ground again. That's all I have. Alderman's reports. We'll start over here with Alderman Morris. I'm sorry, I didn't see you sitting over there.
I actually have
Alderman
a
Rizzo.
report. I attended the annual meeting for JBIC. They didn't have a speaker or anything because they weren't encouraging attendance during this time. George Olson is replacing the two pilings at the entrance to the canal that the storm finished off and took away. Unfortunately, those were the pilings that had the signs on them, so replacement signs are being reordered. Don Towner, one of the members, is getting estimates for 2 replacement trees at the entrance. However, a lot of time was spent discussing options because those trees are the first of the 2 that go down the center. Before that, you only have single trees. So they're thinking that possibly 1 tree would work and would still keep the mathematical appearance, or putting the turtle there. They're also getting a turtle. And they're thinking that might be a really good place for the turtle, possibly with a couple of benches or something. So that was discussed. It appears that there's 2 palm trees that are in dire need of either being removed or trimmed at Jolly Roger and Anchor Way that are being requested by a lot of citizens. That was something that was also discussed. They are considering, and will probably do it, maintain the oasis off of Curlew that the citizens have been taken care of for about 10 years. And those people that have been taking care of it are getting older, and it's not quite as easy for them to take care of it. So they will probably get that weeded and so forth. JBIC has a new administrator, Deborah Ayers. Suzanne is retiring due to health reasons. And they also have a new board member, Summer Blue.
Is that it?
That's it.
Alderman Morris?
Looking forward to getting the new playground equipment installed Monday. I believe this coming Monday, should be 4. And, ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work. That's all.
Alderman Curtis?
Not tonight.
My report too?
Nothing.
We have some pictures sent back of our turtle and the outlines are done, so it's actually getting done a lot quicker than I thought already, so we'll keep you updated with that. And then the playground equipment, that'll be a really nice change for the park. And then 5:30 Thursday, open it up to any volunteers. We always open it up and it's the same 5 people, but to make plans for the park events, so.
That it? Yeah, that's fine. Police report. No report?
What was that?
Thursday.
Thursday, it'll probably be.
Nothing else to come before us, we are adjourned.